أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. اللهم افتح علينا حكمتك وانشر علينا رحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. O Lord, open the doors of wisdom and mercy and shower your blessings upon us. Amen. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah, hope everyone is doing good. Happy Saturday. Sorry for the wait and thank you for your patience. So we are going to proceed with the second ray, which is on divine unity. Last week we reached the conclusion. We didn't finish all of it, but we sort of covered the main points. And so divine unity, briefly, we went through how we see various qualities manifested in creation that necessarily point to an absolute source, and all the qualities point to the same source. And so that's how we can really experience divine unity with our experiences of what we observe. So we may see that sunlight is manifesting certain qualities, a bowl of nuts and fruits manifest several qualities. So where are all these qualities coming from? What do they point to? And so it's just really the feeling that we experience from being in a relationship with either a sun-dried apricot or a just sunlight in general, right? It points to the same source. And we touched upon the quality of inner, outward, first and last, which are very apparent in our observation of anything in creation. So a fruit, a seed, the tree, anything. So it's really how am I viewing something. So I may perceive a fruit to display the quality of first, and when I experience the seed in it, I may experience the quality of last. Similarly, my friend may experience the quality of last in the fruit, saying that, hey, I snatched it from the tree, so that was the quality of first. So first and last, awwal wa akhir, and then inner and outer, perhaps zahir and batin, meaning whatever that I'm experiencing with things. So apparently, thing may project or manifest certain qualities, but then it's the feeling that imparts or permeates my being is really what we can refer to as the inner aspect to things. So that was just really brief share out on our journeys thus far with divine unity. And now last week we touched upon the need for the one that's manifesting divine unity to speak with me. So definitely creation out there speaks to me in various forms, shapes, various means. We cannot even name it. It's really amazing how communication happens. We usually put a name to it, but it's really, how do I explain the communication taking place is the question that we should all be posing ourselves. And so when I see that creation is constantly speaking to me, and the source of existence of a dried apricot speaks to me, and so if he's such a one is speaking to me through creation, then I'm also in need to be spoken to in verbal form, because I'm an animate being. I'm social being. I like to interact, and so verbal communication. So there must be a speech in verbal form as well, and that comes about through envoys or employees of the source of my existence, so which we refer to as prophets. So there must be also a divine speech in verbal form, represented by a human representation, that really presents to me the speech of my maker, and how should I really act in this universe in terms of how should I train my spirit, all these feelings that are imparted onto me, how should I really utilize them to effectively, efficiently, and seamlessly communicate with the source of my existence. So that was really briefly a takeaway on my end with conclusion, but I'll check in to see if anybody wants to share anything from what they took away last time, anything that stood out to them. Go ahead.
Sure, yeah. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Alhamdulillah. And now we are doing the conclusion. So it's interesting how from divine unity, when we realize that the author is kind of making a connection to the other, he calls it a brief allusion to the other pillars of belief. That's what this conclusion was. And we kind of wondered at it. And realizing that, seeing that things are showing their qualities, and we see that there is a single source that all these qualities are coming from. And the author kind of wakes us up and says, hey, heedless man, look, consider, all these proofs that you kind of went through in seeing that whatever you're looking at, all the qualities that you are encountering, the administration, the rulership, the interconnectedness of things, the way the order is working, all shows that there is one who is all wise, who is all compassionate, the one who knows it. And of course, as Faria was saying, that this person must also, whoever, when one realizes what the power and what kind of being we're talking about, the one who owns me, the one who is my Lord, my owner, must also tell me why I'm here, what's my purpose. And through the divine unity, we are getting to know that the need for the other pillars. And one of the pillars we touched upon was the pillar for somebody, an envoy, which he calls the virtues of the Muhammadan reality. But that are somebody I can relate to, and that can also further collaborate and enhance and let me see and share the same kind of feelings and thoughts in terms of how this divine unity can be more practical in my life. So I need a practical example as well. And that is what the pillar, through the realizing the divine unity, we see the necessary need for the prophethood or the messengership. And that is how the messengership of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing upon him, was introduced to us as the one that further collaborates what the universe is telling me, and now the other pillar is also necessary and tells me the same kind of message and brings me more into something that I can relate to, that I can understand in that sense, in the form of a human being who is bringing the same message as what the universe and the qualities that I've been seeing. Now this connection is being made that, hey, whatever you are seeing, I agree, all these creatures are actually, you're right, whatever they are talking about, they cannot have their own qualities by themselves, but they are given those qualities by the one who owns the whole universe, the one who is the creator of the universe. And so all these qualities are manifesting in his name. And then we also touched upon, I think, where you talked about the, the aim. Is it not like the sentence? Is not one of the Maker's most important aims, light and mirrors? That his messengership, the messengership of Muhammad, is not one of the Maker's most important aims, lights and mirrors. And also the other prophets who served the same truths of Muhammad, peace be upon him, should not also have been that Maker's envoys, friends, and officials, God forbid, to the number of the prophets' miracles. So whoever is demonstrating the whole universe, showing me all these qualities, there is an aim that is shown in all that. There's a purpose in that, to show me all these qualities. And the same thing with the messengership also is one of the most important aims, so that I can relate and further, have someone I can look to understand all these qualities and have that relationship with my Lord. So that's one of the some highlights I remember also for you from last time. And I know we're going to, maybe if somebody else would like to add anything before we move on to the third paragraph.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for sharing your reflections as well, because now I remember the highlight last week that stood out was the Maker's most important aim. It's like not only the human being, but like now that I'm given existence, it just like you shared, then there must be so that there must be an envoy or employee from the source of my existence to provide me with answers to my questions in a verbal form. And so, yeah, this whole point about divine unity and necessitate this need of messengership is very, I think, enlightening. Otherwise, the human journey then become just a passing play and game, just from birth to death, and that's about it, really. But I think this is really good news in terms of if I do recognize that the source of my existence must speak to me in verbal form, and that's the Maker's most important aim. So it even bring values to my existence in terms of, wow, definitely someone willed to give me existence, and my humanity is being taken care of. It's just not left aloof. It's not disconnected, where somebody's just throwing me out there in the ocean and, hey, good luck, with survival. But I'm provided like training, equipment, training, or tools to really manipulate myself around. So even if I'm floating with a little floating gear or anything, it's a stepping stone, but eventually there's an instructor out there walking me through
And it's
swimming in the ocean.
It's a compassionate instructor, and the one who cares, a caring instructor that makes sure that you're not left, hey, learn by yourself to your own, in your own way. With all sorts of ways are there, part of the compassion, in a kind way. Hey, learn it. I'm providing you whatever is necessary so that you can make sense of your existence and purpose in this world.
Very true. And it's also like a communication that someone cares about what my human needs are. So when people need assistance or help is on the way. So there is aid and support coming in. So I think that's interesting point. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. And yes, let's check in to see if anybody wants to share out anything, highlights from last time or now, or feel free to do that. Okay, so at any point, just feel free to put anything on the chat or raise your hand.
Okay, so we'll continue and with the paragraph, the conclusion, the third one that's highlighted. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And is it at all possible that the wise and compassionate Creator, who attaches 100 purposes and fruits to the least significant thing, like a branch or a twig, and through his wisdom and general mercifulness, makes known his dominicality? So is it at all possible that the wise and compassionate Creator who attaches 100 purposes and fruits to the least significant thing, like a branch or twig? So the least significant thing is attached with multiple purposes and fruits. I remember your turtle story from one that you would think, okay, what is this, the purpose of this little thing? But everything in creation has their purpose and their journey that they are commanded to follow. And the least significant thing, like a branch or a twig, so that would, can you imagine somebody took care that your fruits are properly handled via branches and twigs? They're not like jumbled up all together, but they get the air, the sunlight, everything there's arranged in that way. And through his wisdom and general mercifulness makes known his dominicality. Through his wisdom and general mercifulness, so whatever you're experiencing around in the universe, that's a general mercifulness. And then there's also personal, and then there's, within the individual, everybody gets their own share of the same mercy. But everything is pointing again to divine unity. So this owner makes known his dominicality, that he is the owner and Lord of all that you're experiencing. Should he deny all his wisdom and mercy, and even his dominicality and perfection, by not bringing about the resurrection? See, now another pillar is being introduced after the messengership, that believe in the prophets. Now through divine unity, now that you're experiencing all the mercifulness and compassion and the arrangement, all the organization, the purpose, now does it make sense that there should be no resurrection? Like, what happens to, it's within the mercy and compassion that there must be resurrection, there must be justice, there must be a supreme tribunal. And which is as easy for her, and we discussed this a little bit in the morning as well, right? The discussion we had. So which is as easy for his power as the spring. So is it at all possible that he should not open up an abode of happiness and everlasting realm, and make his wisdom and mercy, dominicality and perfection denied? Is it all possible that he should not open up an abode of happiness and everlasting realm, and make his wisdom and mercy, dominicality and perfection denied, and condemn to eternal annihilation all his beloved creatures, whom he loves? God forbid 100,000 times that absolutely beauteous one is utterly exempt from such an absolute abomination.
Wow, it's an interesting piece shared here, because it's covering lots of main points again, because any pillar of belief, be it the need for messengership, the need for an eternal realm, it's all intertwined. I cannot really, we give it a term now, it's a pillar of belief. No, but it's really my human feelings that are being spoken to right now, because we all are in need of an eternal abode of happiness. So we definitely experience qualities manifested here. And we see how everything is coming with wisdom, grace, mercy, and obviously all this point to not matter, but the creator of matter. So these qualities are speaking that, hey, we're just manifesting qualities to you, or we're just messengers carrying this meaning that you appreciate this quality, you desire it, but your desires expand to the vastness or beyond this universe. So in other words, you are in need of eternal satisfaction or execution of these qualities that you experience. So, and that's that news. So I have this need and feeling within me, but then knowing that the one that's presenting me this setup where my human qualities are not satisfied here, and the one that presents me a human representative in messengership form, also conveys this this message, or helps me to make further sense of these feelings, and so that then bring news, or that bring news about an everlasting eternal realm. And he's also mentioning the resurrection part, that the setup here is just not futile, it's not purposeless. There's meaning and wisdom in it, meaning and wisdom that points beyond this universe. Otherwise I can get lost in meaning and wisdom just within the universe, like, hey, I need a beautiful garden in my backyard, I'm gonna grow some crops, vegetables, and great, okay. But no, my needs expand all the way to infinity, and this universe is not it, but this universe points to it. It's a sign pointing to something beyond this universe, and that not only gives me a news about that definitely resurrection must happen, because I also observe resurrection here on a mini base, where inshallah spring will be coming soon. And every moment also, like morning, we're resurrected again. So that's again another evidence, sign. And how do I go on using this evidence to really affirm this divine unity, is seeking aid from this employee of the source of my existence. So
Brother Lee, go ahead.
Since we are all here, so if you say, come on, join us, I wouldn't say no. Okay. I think, not anything new. I may just wrap up what I understood from what has been said so far. So we are really studying the other pillars of Islam related to oneness of God or unity of God. So why unity of God necessitates the other pillars of Islam? Why does it necessitate it? The question is really answered through if. Of course, we should never forget about this if clause. If the creator of this universe has a unity in his existence, and it means really absolute, infinite. And by looking at the universe as he creates it and manifests his qualities there, and how he treats the universe, how he treats me as well as a human being, then he says, the text says, this one, this creator, absolute being, should not ignore my human needs. When he tied up, the text tied up these human needs to the Muhammadan reality. That this expression attracted my attention. Muhammadan reality. I understand that the text is not saying or inferring Muhammad as a person has something special from other human beings. That's what I said, no. That's what I understood, no. He says Muhammadan reality means two things. One is, let me get this hand down so I may forget it. So one thing is, Muhammad is a human being. So his reality is my reality as well. But why particularly Muhammadan reality? Because this person is employed to convey the message of the absolute being, this creator, to human beings in order to respond to human reality, speaking to human beings. So the message he gave, if you like, presented to this person who's called Muhammad, to convey it, to transfer it to human beings. And of course, first of all, he's a human being as well. He has to convey the message to himself first of all. So he approved it, he accepted the responsibility, took it up, and started practicing it in his own life, and then also presenting it to other people through his life and through also conveying the message, transferring the message as it is to human beings through application. That is Muhammadan reality, is my reality, together with the message that the Creator conveyed to this person, Muhammad. And I have to really combine my reality with this message. What does it mean by, what do I mean by combining it? It means really putting face to face each other. What this message says, the Muhammad brought, peace be upon him, alayhi salatu wassalam, inshallah. Or whenever I say Muhammad, we remember him, and we have to express our pleasure with his message and also confirm his mission. So I said it, that I confirmed it, and I do confirm as well. So I have to take this message and see whether this message corresponds to my reality. Of course, I see myself, because I have been going through the journey of, if you like, understanding the unity of the Creator, absoluteness of the Creator. After realizing that, if I am convinced, of course, if I am not convinced, I shouldn't come to this point. I have to reject it and leave it, or go back and try to understand it. If I am convinced, then I have to say the message Muhammad brought to me corresponds to my needs, because I want to understand the meaning of my existence. I want to understand the purpose of my life. I want to understand the meaning of everything around me. And I need also some guidance, understanding the way that I have to look at the things. Teaching, in short. I need teaching to guide me to suggest me, actually, not to force me, to suggest me. Nevertheless, the message is just a suggestion. You have to, you can accept it, you can reject it. Some people reject it. Some people accept it. It depends on their the other humans' position and free will. They are free to choose whatever they want to do. But as far as I'm concerned, I say, okay, let me see the message. I see that this message corresponds to my needs. And I understand it is responding and with a satisfactory answer to my expectations. If it is my conclusion, then I will say divine unity necessitates really the message that the messengers bring to us. So this divine unity must be related to the message I receive through the messengers. So that combines the two together, divine unity and the message of the prophets, and also not only the message, but presentation of the message through a person, a human being. That is another aspect of it. The message is, if you like, an abstract thing, abstract idea, presenting to the idea. But the messenger is representing the practical side of this message. So by approving or confirming if I agree with the message that Muhammad brought to us, it is not the subject. The subject is, how can I relate divine unity to the message that the prophets bring to me and to the messengers, their representation of the message. Two things are related to divine unity. That is what I found it interesting here. And also, as a result, we are studying this now, the third paragraph, the last paragraph of the conclusion in general, if you like, introduction of the conclusion is in general. So then the resurrection is necessary. Why? Again, if the creator of the universe is the one who is absolutely powerful, limitless in his power, in his wisdom, in his qualities, as they are witnessed in the universe, because I can see the universe, I observe the universe, I experience the universe. Yeah, the one, I conclude, the one who gave existence to this universe must have absolute qualities. Otherwise, with limited qualities or any kind of quality which is in nature, in its essence, like a created being, like the created, any piece of the universe or whole universe cannot be the source of existence of this universe with its apparent obvious qualities manifested in front of my eyes. It is obvious that whatever the source of existence of this universe must have no limit at all in his capacity. Whatever it is. If someone says, nature is the source of the existence of the universe, okay, I think about it. I freely think nature, whatever it is, it must be, whatever they mean by nature, that is very ambiguous word, ambiguous, not very well defined. Sorry, either it is in the universe, within the content of the universe, or not. That is not well defined by those people who use the word nature. This is the main problem that we have to pay attention, which I refer to it any time the subject comes up. So be careful. We have to ask, if someone says it is natural, I will say, all right, that's an idea. Can you define within nature? Yeah. Accordingly, I will take a stand. So if I say, yes, nature is the source of existence, of these qualities and the universe, I would say, okay, nature must have an absolute power, absolute will, limitless, choice, absolute purpose, wisdom, knowledge, mercy, justice, design, ability to design, and immediate action with no interference. What am I doing here? I am describing something which is not a part of the universe. Any part of the universe is subject to the order, limited, doesn't have any free will, doesn't show any knowledge. It means, in fact, as compared to the message that I receive from the messengers, they call it God, and this person is talking about the qualities of the Creator, but naming it as nature and putting it into the universe, which is the contradictory part now, as if it is within the universe, because no one says that nature is not of the part of the universe. That is what we have to understand clearly. The main problem of human beings in late 4 or 5 centuries, I think 5 centuries at least, is this point. How do we define nature? This point. Whatever they call it, enlightenment, reform movement, revolutions, and industrial revolution, and scientific revival, and evolving of the human nature, etc., whatever they call it, it boils down to this subject. What do we mean by nature? Because the nature of the things are like this. Nature necessitates, this is the natural laws, something like that. How it is happens, the way it is explained, the existence of the things, that is how it happens. That is the nature of the things. Everything I understood that this concept of nature is the essence of all arguments based on materialistic worldview, which is any idea which doesn't accept divine unity must come and satisfy himself with this notion of nature. So we have to understand that either the people mean by nature really the divine unity, it means divine being. You don't have to, if you don't like it, don't have to call God. But anything divine, it means not of the universe, divine, beyond the capacity and the nature, the essence of the created beings. It is the source of the existence of the created beings. So if this being, whatever they call it, has so perfect qualities as it is manifested in the existence of the universe, this being should not waste what it has produced for nothing. Send it to annihilation. Give existence and send it to annihilation. And with no result at all. Like a farmer works and does all sort of farming, whatever the tilling and harvesting, whatever needed to be done in the land. And then when the, let's say, vegetables are grown, the results are demonstrated, burns it. I wouldn't say that it is unwise. I would say it is crazy. Not only unwise, it is crazy. Burns it. So the author is right that defends that if the source of existence of the universe is an divine being, absolute divine being, and absolute means really divine unity. Unity means the only, the source which is the only one. Yeah, and this must be the absolute one. So, and not also not of the part of the universe. So, what does it mean then? I am, and like all other creatures, are going into annihilation, seemingly. Seemingly, we are dying and finished. Within the conditions of this universe, we are dying. That's what we had to understand. Yes, within the conditions of this universe, my body is dissolved and became a compost, a form of compost, and my human feelings disappeared, if it was so. But of course, I would think my human feelings are not subject to matter, therefore are not subject to change in its existence. I mean, quality-wise, I can be aware of it more or less. Now, but in its essence, it is not matter. My feelings, my understanding, my emotions, they are not matter. So anything which is not matter is not subject to change. If it is not subject to change, it doesn't mean it means when my body is dissolved, it's not necessarily that my human side will be dissolved as well. So I conclude that if, again, if clause is important, if the source of existence of this universe, a conscious, knowledgeable, powerful, wise being, you cannot expect to do, as a result of his work, send the result of his work into annihilation. I would say not only humans shouldn't go into annihilation. Even my existence as I experience myself now shouldn't go into annihilation, but it may, it may and it should transform into another form. And what does it mean? What I mean by this, it should transform into a form that my human side desires to exist in this form. I want a life, an existence which doesn't age, which doesn't become weaker. I don't want to lose any of my feelings. I don't want to lose any of my feelings. I don't want to lose any of my understanding. I don't want to lose I don't want to lose my consciousness, which makes me aware of my existence. I don't want to lose this consciousness. I want to have, this is what I am given, this desire by the one who produced me, created me, to have an to have an infinite life with infinite perfection. That's why I want it. With no end, it means, I mean, infinite means not that I want to be not a created being, but I want to be a creator. It is impossible. I know that. The creator is the absolute one, and I am a created being. But I want to be created in a form that it is not temporary, it is permanent and perfect, most satisfactory. But of course, at the same time, everything is given according to their due capacity here in this world. What does it mean? I understand. I conclude from there that I have to get ready to deserve the permanent, perfect status of existence. I want to get ready. I need to get ready for this permanent, satisfactory existence. How much? According to I am aware of it. According to I acknowledge it. That is what my creator can give me, and I present this need to my creator, and only he can satisfy my need. This acknowledgement, this recognition makes me eligible to get this existence as much as I am aware of it. If I am not aware of it, I don't know what I'm missing. I'm not aware of it. So I will be given as much as I am aware of. So that is why we have to take our existence seriously, our human capacities seriously, and the source which will address my human capacities, look for it seriously and get acquainted with it, with this source, so that you can communicate with it. You can present that I need this, and he gives it. He gives it. He promises that he gives it through the message of the messengers. He promises, he gives it. How about the universe? Of course, if you put a seed in the land, in the soil, look, the creator keeps his promise. If you put this seed, teaches me through the order, in a certain climate conditions and physical conditions, I promise, which the creator speaks to me through the order, through the tongue of the order, language of the order, speaks to me, says, I promise you, I will give you, for example, if it is a seed of a tree, I will give you this tree. Which seed was it? Apricot seed, for example. I will give you the apricot tree that you know, and that is guaranteed from my side, the creator says, as long as you follow the order as I teach you. But if you follow your own choice, you cannot create anything. I don't promise anything. But if you follow my order, I will give you this. That is how it treats me in this world. So in the resurrection, I will be given as much as I know of him. I know of him as much as. Why? Because I can present my need as much as I know. For example, if I don't study the order of the universe, and if I am not aware, I didn't learn that, for example, how to make the telephone by using the order of the universe. Does the creator give me the result? Can I make a telephone? I wouldn't have even the notion of it. Notion of it. Think about it 200 years ago. Who could guess that there will be a telecommunication with in distance communication without any really material, I mean, how do you say, face-to-face interaction? They would never ever do that. But what we do, we explore the order, find out within the order, and put our trust in the creator, that order, through creating the order with this quality, if I do this, he will allow me to make the telephone example, and I make it, it works. He keeps his promise. Exactly as he keeps his promise within the order of the universe, as long as I am aware of it. Now, I have to work on myself, become aware of my human qualities, and become aware of the source that will satisfy the needs of my human qualities. Then it will be guaranteed that I will be given to it according to the level of my acknowledgement, becoming aware of what the Creator promises me. For example, if I, excuse me, now, if I don't discover that, for instance, now we know it. That's why I take the example of what we know. Internet connection is possible. Satellite connection is possible. For example, do I get it? Do I get satellite connection, internet connection? If I don't discover, no. So what happens at the end? As much as I discover, I am rewarded with it. That is guaranteed within the, through the message of the order of the universe. Exactly in the same way, if I use my human qualities and become aware that these qualities are going to be satisfied as much as I am aware by the creator of these qualities, I can I can get the result. That is why the resurrection is necessary. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Would anybody like to comment or say anything? So continue. So any comments on what Brother Ali said? I think he's on a phone call right now.
Did you make any point?
So yeah, it was very interesting points that were shared in terms of me discovering the order in creation, and also that applies to me as well in terms of my human side as well. So the more I recognize my human side, the more I'm able to connect all my needs and desires to the source of my existence. So yeah, I think it's it's something to think about in terms of discovering the order, because when we apply the case to ourselves, then it starts making more sense as well in terms of questioning the meaning of anything, the meaning of trying to interpret events, communications, and so on and so forth. All right, does anyone want to share out their takeaways from what was shared, or any part of the text they would like to highlight? Feel free to express yourself out. Okay. All right, quite Saturday crowd. So it's if that's the case, then we can perhaps continue on. But I saw a little piece here. All these blurry creatures to whom he. Okay, yeah. So I don't know with this conclusion. Then, if we're done with it, if nobody has anything to express out or address, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, I think we should move on, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah. So
but before we do that, let me just read this last piece because I just saw
Sure. Yeah.
Love, hashtag love.
Where do you see that?
Right here.
Oh, next page.
No, right here in this conclusion. So let me just say, is it at all possible that he should not open up an abode of happiness and everlasting realm and make his wisdom and mercy, dominicality and perfection denied and condemned to eternal annihilation, all his beloved creatures whom he loves? Oh, there we go. This is beautiful. I think this goes back to
beloved creatures whom he
loves.
Yeah, you see it because it's in the next page, right?
Yeah, that got my attention. So
Good.
it felt disconnected. I'm like, love, yes, but like, where are we fitting this in? So I think it goes back to what Ali Murmur was sharing about the one who's bringing existence, the one who's creating you and I right now, is not just going to create it without any purpose, right? So there's definite deliberate knowledge and purpose and will involved in it. So he must definitely communicate to us and then make sure that the creatures are not going extinct, just like the analogy of the farmer destroying burning out the crops, like what?
So,
that would be
so
the
everything that farmer does is out of love.
Exactly.
You put your effort in it, your interest, your not, whatever skills you have, all the qualities, the passion goes in there. And it should not go to waste, right? It's illogical.
Yeah.
So we are the beings, whoever made us, whoever is gives us those feelings also is a sign of showing us love. But I think, Brother Adam, would you like to say something? I saw your comment.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. Yeah, this point about loves is what he loves. I don't have the text in front of me. I'm looking at your screen, but the sentence starts out by saying, condemn to internal annihilation all his beloved creatures whom he loves. Yeah, I think the emphasis on this personal relationship to also kind of condemn, or let's say it's a denial. If someone says I'm experiencing things here that are not only wise, not only powerful, but also particular to me and particular to my interests, my needs, and my feelings, which I'm describing as being related to love, then that's also what they're denying, right? In other words, they are saying that there is no love here. These are all mechanical things that are happening, and that personal experience, personal relationship between us human beings, or me, myself, individually, what I'm experiencing, what I need, and what I'm given is not a personal, emotionally connected experience. So it's a problem on many fronts, as I understand what the author is highlighting. It's a problem of the issue of dominicality, or ownership and take care giving, or care. How should I say? What's the right word? The responsibility of fully taking care of, i.e., dominicality. Making sure that what is taken care of here, to the smallest degree, also then will take care to things to the fullest degree, because the one concern for it is the same, and certainly has power to do so. It's what Brother Ali has mentioned in quite amount of detail. But that part aside, dominicality aside, wisdom aside, because we see all the things that are so wise here. I like this example of building a beautiful house and then burning it, because it would just, a wise house or a beautiful house, or sometimes, if I heard the analogy correctly, and then burning it would be ludicrous, it would be insane. But what about the issue of love? Because then it would also be denying what we experience here in this world as being personally intended for each one of us, appreciating us, giving us what we want, and fulfilling that emotional experience also. So, God forbid, 100,000 times, these aspects are not able to be denied, and anyone who does so really would be denying it, and I'm sorry, would be really wrong. That's, of course, that's what the text is saying, but we can understand that. I mean, it's negating so much here, and the most essential things of what we experience even in this world. So I found that love's part really interesting. I didn't notice it before, because up to that point, we often talk about the wise and the powerful glorification, the aspects that are so beyond human, and of course it's a human experience, but it's beyond the realm of what can be created. That is true. But then to also be concerned with human beings and interact with them personally in a loving way is really interesting. So that caught my attention.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, that was an interesting point. So all his beloved creatures whom he loves. So it's also a contradiction, basically, as you mentioned. Like you work on something, build the house, and then just waste it, burn it for no reason. And that is what insanity is. Anybody else would like to share anything? All right, so should we continue? You want to continue popcorn reading?
So we are reading from the second ray, page 45. A lengthy note. A question related to the resurrection of the dead. The frequently repeated verse. It will be nothing but a single cry. It will be nothing but a single cry. That is from Quran chapter 36, verse number 29. And the verse, the command of the hour will be like the glance of the eye. The command of the hour will be like the glance of the eye. Quran chapter 16, verse 77. These two verses show that the resurrection of the dead and great gathering will occur instantaneously in a flash. The resurrection of the dead and great gathering will occur instantaneously in a flash. But man's narrow reason requires some tangible example so that it can conceive of this wondrous, extraordinary, and unparalleled event and accept it. Man's narrow reason requires some tangible example so that it can conceive of this wondrous, extraordinary, and unparalleled event and accept it. Unparalleled, interesting word. Relating to,
I think it's mentioning how instantaneously in a flash, how to understand that within the grasp of man, how human beings can understand and reason about it.
Yes, yeah, and it's interesting how he's using the words like this something wondrous, extraordinary. Like it's, I cannot fathom it, but I can only make sense of it, like you're saying, in terms of with the evidence that are available And I was just wondering what he meant by unparalleled event. Perhaps could it be that because I'm experiencing existence right now, but when I think about the notion of death, it's also in relation to my experiences here or the evidence that I see here. But that's as far as my confinement of my experiences of the universe is concerned. But it seems that there's something unparalleled, like it's not what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's something beyond what I think it is, but it's definitely, there must be something.
There's nothing like it, right?
Yeah, but it's still extraordinary, it's still wondrous, and so and accept it. So I must accept it, that it's not that what I think I know or what I think that it could be, but definitely such a thing must be. If anyone has anything to add, feel free.
Now, although the exception,
Go ahead, brotherly.
although sorry, okay, although the creation is taking place here every moment, instantly, but if we look at the things around us, as far as coming into existence and staying in existence is concerned, instantly, constantly, they are given existence in a new form. But that is not what we are normally experiencing in this world, and we are familiar with only the way the things grow and gradual, as if gradual growing is taking place. So it is something not within our experience to see that something is suddenly coming into existence out of nowhere. As far as the order of this universe is concerned, not the source of existence of the universe is concerned. It means how they come into existence, and although they change, but stay in existence, remain in existence with changes, continuous, constant changes. Of course, it needs a second thought, but our sensual experience of the universe demonstrates that the baby is born, the plants grow from the very small shoot into a big, whatever it is, tree or a vegetable or whatever, or animals also grow in this way. They learn gradually. It means our experience is taking place gradually, so our mind expects the things to happen in gradual process. Whereas the message says resurrection will take place instantaneously. Come on, there is no babyhood and growing like this. How come? Because as far as my the life experience, sensual, practical life experience, and my familiarity with the universe, the order of the universe is concerned, I am puzzled here. How can it be? There is no such thing in the universe as far as my experience tells me, not my second thought. Second thought is the conclusion as a result of the reality of existence is concerned. So the question seems to be a very legitimate question, very practical question. So inshallah you can continue.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, thank you. That was very refreshing. The answer: at the resurrection, there will be the return of spirits to their bodies at the resurrection, there will be the return of spirits to their bodies, the revivification of the bodies, the reviving of the bodies.
Yeah.
Wow. And the remaking of the bodies, the revivification of the bodies, the remaking of the bodies. SubhanAllah, it's interesting. Okay. It consists of 3 matters. The first matter, an example for the return of spirits to their bodies, is the mustering at a loud bugle call. An example for the return of spirits to their bodies is the mustering at a loud bugle call of the members of a disciplined army after they have dispersed to rest.
A practical physical example. When the commander calls all the soldiers, he sounds the alarm, brings something, and all the soldiers stand straight, march.
Okay.
Right. So you can get the attention, just very obedient soldiers, they will get together.
Yeah. It's
So
like you're sleeping and then suddenly you wake up, like even
whatever
fire people.
Fire,
like you're just doing your thing, and
as soon as the siren rings, and then
you start jumping in.
Yep.
Subhanallah. Yes. The surah of the angel Israfil is no less powerful than an army bugle. The spirits, too, who while in post-eternity reply with, yes, we accept, to the question, am I not your sustainer? This is from Quran chapter 7, verse 172. The spirits, too, who while in post-eternity reply with, yes, we accept, to the question, am I not your sustainer? Inshallah. Which comes from pre-eternity. Are infinitely more subjugated, which comes from pre-eternity, as in like what my experience is right now. What am I concluding? Are infinitely more subjugated, disciplined, and obedient than the soldiers of an army. Ooh, this is interesting. Training is important here. The 30th word has demonstrated with decisive proofs that not only spirits, but all particles form a divine army. All particles, wow, form a divine army and are its soldiers under command. This is interesting. All particles are a soldier under command. So what I observe here, like, how do I explain the change or the movement of anything? It's definitely particles, or anything is acting at a command of something. And I think human beings, we have the free will. That's why sometimes we may not really listen to our human feelings, as in connecting with the source of our existence. Mm.
I think we should unpack this middle part,
Sure, yeah.
right? The spirits too, who while in post-eternity reply with yes, we accept to the question, am I not your sustainer? Which comes from pre-eternity, are infinitely more subjugated. So the spirits are infinitely more subjugated, disciplined, and obedient than the soldiers of an army. Because the soldiers of an army have free will. And the spirits are the pure human side, the human, it's not like the body and the material, but the spirit, which is everybody, which is within us. We are basically what makes us as a human being. And that consciousness, that awareness that we are establishing while we're living here. And how do we answer this, am I not your sustainer, while living here? But I'm curious to see if anybody wants to comment on this particular phrase, spirits too while in post-eternity. So this is talking about, at the resurrection, which is something that is instantaneous and in a flash, how the spirits are so obedient and march just like an army, an example in this world, but like infinite times more obedient than an army, infinitely more subjugated. Who would like to talk on this? Brother Ali.
I talk on it because this is a very, I talk a lot today, so I think I should give the opportunity to others as well. Look, somebody came up. Okay, it is much better now to listen to others now. I am reflecting on it now.
Okay, inshallah. So Suhail, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I know we don't have too much time left, but what I took away from that, as he points out in the verse, it will not be but a single cry, and the command of the hour be like the glance of the eye. So as you mentioned, instantaneous. In other words, just like as I am now, coming into existence at this very moment, it's instantaneous. I don't see any sort of process taking place. It just happens at any given moment. It's a just brief moment here and gone, but it happens nonetheless without me even realizing it. Like, if I think about it, I don't even realize how I'm coming into existence. It just happens to be. And there's not anything I have to do or think about or wait for. It's a single or brief flash of a moment. And I guess he talks about this in three respects. As he says in the answer, how is it possible, essentially, or how extraordinary this is that people are able to be resurrected. The spirit returns to the body, the revivification of the body, and the remaking of the body. It consists of three matters, which is honestly what's happening at any given moment. That's kind of how I feel. And the first matter, as he points out, at least from what I took about, is that, when he gives the example of an army or a loud bugle that assembles in an army. There's no question being asked, I guess, by the members of the army. In other words, it's just like at any given moment, so too in this moment, so too at the resurrection with a capital R. there's nothing for me to question as I'm brought into existence. It just happens. It's like my spirit hears and obeys. You know, if I'm given existence, it hears and obeys, and I'm given existence in the body I'm given. And if it so happens that the next moment I don't exist in this world, it hears and obeys, and that's it. I have no sort of role in that matter, no choice in giving or not giving myself existence at the next moment in this world. Um, uh, Yet I am, I mean, not to say I'm not given existence at all, like I'll go into non existence, but what I'm saying is in the form I am or what shape I'll take. It just happens, you know? And that's kind of how, you know, that's how I experience this world, is that the things come into existence at the sound of, or the command of be, and it is, and they all assemble at once. Um, so, uh, you know, as he points out in the verse, the spirits while in post eternity reply with, yes, we accept to the question of, am I not your sustainer? Or, which comes from pre eternity, are infinitely more subjugated, disciplined, and obedient than the soldiers of an army. Um, in other words, um, you know, the spirit is not restricted to this moment. It looks to all, you know, it has an existence that goes beyond um, time itself and space itself, because that spirit is connected to an absolute source of existence. And so when the absolute source of existence commands that my spirit be in this world, in this body of mine, in this universe, in this cosmos at that particular moment, I oblige. Whether I'm aware of it or not is sort of almost irrelevant. I mean, that's my choice, whether I'm aware of it or not. But in reality, that's what's happening. Now, in this world, there's a veil to that, I guess, and I have to see beyond that sort of veil. That's my choice. But um, when that veil is lifted, it becomes obvious that I have no power whatsoever, no will, and that I am being sustained, that I exist by no less a reason than one who has absolute will. You know, once that veil is lifted, I have to accept. And I mean, in this world, I can choose to accept it, but in reality, that's actually what's happening. So that's what I, took away from this. I mean, in other words, the spirit knows. I mean, it's essential to this nature of the spirit, the human spirit, that the spirit is being sustained. Like the spirit can't accept it. I mean, you or can't escape it. One can try to ignore it, but the spirit knows. So whether in this world or the next doesn't matter. It's just that in this world that you know we're given the choice to determine if we are honest with ourselves or not. That whether we accept reality or not. Yes, we accept to the question of, am I not your sustainer? That's up to us. Um, but because if you deny that, um, you're denying the fact that you have no role in the fact that you are given existence, um, even though who we are and where we are is not up to us. So that's what I took away. Sorry for going over time, but
That's perfect. Thank you for the comment. So in a way, based on our experience, we don't see like it's a gradual kind of development that happens in front of us based on, but the creation, the existence, as you and Brother Ali kind of mentioned, is, if you think about it, it shows that it's continuous. Like if you look at the quantum particles and physics, everything is in an instant, things are changing in a flash. I can see that. And then in a way, the resurrection, because the new creation, at that same way that existence is taking place, be and it is, kun fayakun is in a flash as well. So I'm trying to tie this together. I know this is getting really interesting at this point now, and we are kind of approaching, and we'll take a few more minutes. And I know Adam had his hand up, so let's hear from Adam, and then I'll read the comment from Colin.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I think my point's just really short. I think, again, the issue here is to deal with the issue of matter, or resolve and release oneself from understanding matter as being the determining factor in how things exist. Because certainly the spirit is not subject to matter. That's clear. And that's, I think, the bulk of what's being said in the first matter. And we can see that in our life, how we exist physically is one issue, that's true, but spiritually, how we exist, or in our spirit, or in our human side, to exist is not subject to matter. We already, I think, we've discussed this, and it's been mentioned in the previous section, commented on. And so so I think the point is that one should see that non-matter dependency, and therefore then say my spirit is existing because of this source, this absolute source. So I think that the point that I understand, if I understand correctly, is to address this issue first. But the second part, I think, is the more also needs to be tied in. All particles form a divine army and are its soldiers under command, which then go to the issue of the material, the particles, and say that the particles, then the matter, also are not subject to material cause and effect relationships, because even their formation, even their existence, in whatever form we see it, requires, again, an absolute source. You may even say a spirit, some kind of all-wise, all-knowing one, and they also have a presence. I don't know how to best describe this, but the particles themselves then are, again, even not subject to material conditions. And I think when you see them, and you see them even in this world, you see the forms that they're in, the wisdom, the order, which we've been discussing, show that it transcends material cause and effect. So I think this again goes back to this issue of resolving the issue of matter and cause and effect issues. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Adam. I think you brought up a good point also. So one is spirit, and then the particles, as you said, is matter, and how their resurrection is happening. But before I go to Sohail, let me just read Colin Turner's comment. And I know he's not here, so but just see if there is. And the spirit is stretched between mulk and malakut, and is thus, in a sense, timeless. So the spirit has a different nature. It's not a material nature. In other words, at all times and under all circumstances, the human spirit affirms its createdness. That's interesting. So at all times, under all circumstances, the human spirit affirms its createdness and its subjugation to its creator. So I'm wondering about at all times, under all circumstances. But in this creation, as a human being, I would say that, although my spirit, I have to make it in line and tune with the affirmation of or subjugation. There's a free will aspect that I'm given responsibility of in this world. So I think this we can discuss maybe at some point, but we'll keep this on hold. And Suhail, please go ahead.
The last thing I want to say is just kind of touching on what Adam said, in that, when he says infinitely more subjugated, disciplined, and obedient than the soldier of an army, in a sense, alluding to the fact that the world that we live in, including the outward or particle nature of the world and the inner or spirit nature of the world, they all look to an infinitely or absolutely powerful, knowledgeable, and willing one. And so, his example comparing how an army bugle or some sort of commander musters an army together at the sound of a call. Now think about one who has infinite power or an infinite will, how he can muster together all things at once at any given moment as he so desires. That's the nature of the resurrection. In other words, whether that takes place in this moment, in the sense that, the spirits, along with their sort of outward clothing, material clothing, come together at once. As Adam said, there's no really cause and effect there, just an effect. So too, it would happen at the end, in the next world as well. The same. There's no fundamental difference, and I think that's what Colin was alluding to, in that the spirit isn't restricted to time itself, because if you are mustered together or brought together or brought into existence by an infinitely powerful one, there's no time to speak of at that point. Then, you are brought together at an instant by an absolutely powerful one who's beyond time and space. And just like by coming together, when an army does recognize that call, in a sense, that army is recognizing, or the soldiers are recognizing, that powerful one, the commander or the general. So too, when spirits and particles come together at a moment, in a sense, they're implicitly acknowledging that they're implicitly answering the question, "Am I not your sustainer?" with, "Yes, we accept." By coming together, that's like the acknowledgement. Even if in this world I may not be aware of it. I mean, I can choose to not be aware of it, but the world testifies to it, in a sense. Everything in this world testifies to, yes, we accept that you are our sustainer, by obeying the command, because they can't escape that infinitely powerful command. Then it's up to the human being to determine whether they choose to accept that reality in this world or not.
There are a lot to discuss about this first point. The first method.
Inshallah.
We can again
Go over this.
Go over it next week.
Inshallah, yeah, I would like to. I feel the need for it.
Yeah,
inshallah.
Because there are lots of points, although some points are taken care of, discussed, but still there may be some other points as well. It's a very interesting subject and deep subject as well.
Inshallah. Thank you, everyone. Inshallah, if any final comments, you can say that now. Inshallah, we'll continue next time. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha.